Many thanks for staying with me on the marketplace today. Let's now start with our very first story. Ghana is seeking to court more investors in the oil and gas industry as it participates in this year's Offshore Technology Conference in Houston, Texas. This year's event, the 50th edition, is bringing together energy professionals to exchange ideas and opinions to advance scientific and technical knowledge for offshore resources and environmental matters. Energy Minister John Peter Amewu, who opened the Ghana Pavilion at the exhibition grounds, noted the occasion was an opportunity to showcase the potential of Ghana's oil and gas industry to the world.
Ghana, as you are aware, has brought in a very unique feature for this particular event this year. Ghana's participation in the conference this year is unique in that we are here with a higher ambitions and optimism than ever. We are here as an upstream-dominated event, not only to tell the world about our flagship upstream industry, but also to create awareness about opportunities in the downstream industry also. I have the conviction that by the end of this conference, and before I get back to Ghana with my team, companies will come knocking on our doors for licenses, permits to do business in the upstream. Talking about opportunities that are there in Ghana, Ghana has a lot of potential in terms of both reserves offshore and offshore. Currently, as a country, we have aggressively embarked on an onshore exploration activities. 2D seismic activities have been conducted, and we are in the process of migrating to 3D seismic activity. I can tell you for sure that Ghana, as an emerging oil and gas industry, is gradually migrating to a mature provinces. As a country, we are very flexible in undertaking fiscal regimes that will enable companies not only to come and invest, but also to invest with some amount of return on investment.
We'll be updating you more on this edition of the Offshore Technology Conference in the USA. Away from that, 4 out of 16 shortlisted bidders have advanced to the next stage or to compete for the construction of the Ghana-Burkina Faso Railway Interconnection Project. The project, which is to be on a build, operate and transfer basis, is an idea of both countries to enhance mutual economic activity.
The terms of the reference for the Joint Evaluation Committee is as follows. Conduct a detailed evaluation of the request for qualification documents received from the 4 firms. Make appropriate recommendations for the pre-qualification of the firms based on the minimum qualification requirements specified in the request for qualification. Submit an evaluation report within 2 days, ending 8th May 2019. Upon submission of the evaluation report by the Joint Evaluation Committee, the necessary approvals will be sought, and the next stage of the procurement process, that is the request for proposal stage, will be launched. At this stage, detailed technical and financial proposals will be requested from the pre-qualified bidders for further evaluation. The most technically and financially competitive bid will then be selected as the preferred bidder, going for pre-contract negotiations.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Railway Development has been on a tour of some of railway projects in the Western region. We're trying to link up with our correspondent Natalia Kwanza for some more updates. Before we get here, let's move on to this other story. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, is reassuring it will institute measures that would help deal with exchange rate fluctuations. Dr. Addison disclosed this in an interview with Joy Business. George Rafi has the rest of the story.
Assurance follows calls for a fixed exchange rate for the various foreign currencies to deal with the challenge where rates have to change virtually every day. This because most businesses have argued that they just cannot plan as a result of this challenge. They argued that this has made it difficult for them to actually plan their operations. Joy Business understands the country's port officials have already started implementing these fixed exchange rates when it comes to tariffs charges for importers. But speaking to Joy Business, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says the economy is not ready for such a policy measure.
We do not support the idea of a fixed exchange rate. I think the exchange rate, we are running a flexible exchange rate system. There's a reason why we have, for administered prices, regular changes in order to account for developments in the market on a more frequent basis, so that if you are going through periods of misalignment, you don't get these losses accumulate over a very short period of time. So it's important that even when you have a formula-based price system, that you update that formula regularly in order to take account of the changes in the market.
For some, the latest stance of the governor of the Bank of Ghana would raise a lot of questions about the sustainability of what is currently happening at the port with respect to a decision by some officials to go ahead with this fixed exchange rate for dollars when it comes to imports.
Now, members of the Ghana Society of the Physically Disabled, GSPD, are calling for the enrollment of its chalk factory onto the One District, One Factory program to help revamp its operations. The factory once supplied up to 250,000 boxes of chalk to the Ghana Education Service until the business collapsed due to the financial constraints. Karen Dudu has the rest of the story.
Is what used to be one of Ghana's own local chalk manufacturing companies, which was manned by persons with disability. But unfortunately, about dozens of them have been rendered jobless because the factory was forced to shut down due to financial constraints and unavailability of space. Elvis Alipui is one of the about 20 persons with disability who were rendered jobless some 5 years ago when the Treasure Chalk factory shut down. The factory was under supervision of the Ghana Society of Physically Disabled, a non-governmental organization for persons with disability. The productions manager Elvis recalls how they produced for the Ghana Education Service until they began facing financial challenges.
Somebody will say the chalk is there, when you sell it later, we didn't get the money. Yes, it is true. We have a small space that we are operating when it comes to the chalk business. And in fact, our dry space is very small. So anytime our small warehouse get full up, the work had to stop. So in that 2 years, the chalk is in the warehouse. Nothing going on really too much in terms of production. But the 19 workers have to be paid. So all this has reduced the capacity of the factory already before we start getting the contract with GS.
All that's left of the factory is the worn-out wooden structure, now a residence, and some old machines which have virtually become homes to pets. All efforts to acquire a new piece of land have proven futile as management could not pull through the cost of registration. Government recently presented 2 billion cedis to 1,000 women with disability to support their business. Elvis lauded the move by government and added that extending a One District, One Factory program to the chalk factory will be a plus.
We don't want to beg, we don't want to plead, because we need not to beg before we get our daily bread or our work done from our own father. So we are calling on him quickly. I know when you hear this, he's a fast guy. You factor this fast into his initiative. What we are looking for is One District, One Factory. And I know he can do it more than that.
Here is the raw material for chalk production, gypsum, all gone to waste because the company has been forced to shut down due to the lack of financial support. Now the GSPD, that's the Treasure Chalk factory, is calling on government support to help them revamp their productions so as to produce a job for some persons with disability. Reporting here from the Accra Rehabilitation Center, Karen Dodu for Joy Business.
It's live on the marketplace. Let's now get back to our earlier story where the Railway Development Minister Joe Gatti this morning began an inspection of some railway projects in Sekondi and Takoradi in the western region. The minister has already inspected the 22-kilometer railway lines from Kujokrum to Manso. Correspondent Natalia Kwansa was with the team, has joined me via Skype with some updates. Natalia, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon.
All right, so where have you been? Where did the tour take you?
So, you know, that began from a month. We have the railway workshop to maintain the cultures. So the old one now it has been rehabilitated. So from there we went to inspect the railway lines from Kojokrom to Etikado and then to Eshim, which is 22 kilometers. And then with this new railway line, it's built as a standard gauge and it's a concrete slipper. So basically this is where we've been this morning.
Okay, and what exactly can you tell us about the current state of the projects or the facilities?
Yes, so Emmanuel, the slippers are there. The contractors or engineers, Amandi, is ready to kickstart and then start projects very soon. They are doing whatever they can. From what I see, within a couple of months, everything should kickstart. And then the longest railway bridge, they've also started with that. And it would interest our viewers to also know that the railway school is about 90% completed. And they are liaising with the University of Mines and Technology. So very soon, they are going to start enrollment over the students from the University of Mines and Technology who did love to learn anything concerning railways would be enrolled in there.
And what has the railway minister been saying?
Basically, the railway minister says he's on course. He believes his ministry would work hard. And then he did also mention that the old rail lines are not being managed by his ministry, as it's being managed by the Railway Company Limited. So for that one, they will still have their old rail lines. But if they feel that the Railway Company Limited is not doing something right, then they would have to go in and as a ministry and then give the needed guidelines. But its management is not under his ministry.
All right, many thanks for that update. Natalia Kwansa is our Western Regional Correspondent. She was on a tour, the Minister of Railway Development's tour to some parts of the railway development within the Western region. Moving on, Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry has reiterated the need for Ghana to leverage its membership in the African Union to enhance its natural resource trade. President of the Chamber, Nana Dr. Appiah Dankawaso I, believes these traditional leaders can harness their cultural power to drive in more or to attract more investors.
In the Chamber of Commerce perspective, as we have signed and ratified about 22 member states of African Union, there is the need for us to use that opportunity because it's about numbers. Ghana is only 27 million. West Africa is about 350 million. For the Africa, it's about 1.2 billion. And secondly, we have a lot of natural resources which have not been tapped. Those which have been tapped, it is also always sold at the raw state. We need to add value. So how do we do that? And I think that has prompted Otumfuo to see how best he can collaborate and support the agenda of the government of the day to make sure that we can use DEBES, we can use programs like this to bring more people who have the money and have the know-how, the technology, and the support, so that there could be some level of partnership to make sure we turn things around and make Ghana a prosperous nation.
And back here in Accra, the Ghana Institute of Directors Ghana is calling on President Akufo-Addo to make amendment to the Transitional Acts to allow board members and chief executives of key government businesses stay in office after changes to government. This, they think, will result in a good corporate governance practice in the public sector. President of the Institute, Roxanne Dogbega, made the call at an ongoing conference of the on corporate governance in Accra. My colleague Ebenezer Sabuti was there. He joins us live with some updates. Ebenezer, good afternoon. Hello, Ebenezer. All right, so we're trying to link up with my colleague Ebenezer Sabuti live from the Kempinski Hotel, where today the Institute of Directors Ghana held a corporate governance conference, which is actually still ongoing. We'll try and link him up with him for some updates as we get to him. Now, despite being one of the biggest investors in Ghana, CEO of the GIPC says they are looking to attract yet more investors from China during the China Trade Week. The event is expected to bring about 100 investors and 6,000 visitors to explore business opportunities between China and Ghana. There's more in this report.
China is currently one of Ghana's largest trading partners. According to statistics, Ghana's exports to China surpassed $1.85 billion in 2018, whereas China-Ghana bilateral exchange reached $6.67 billion in 2017, spanning across various sectors. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the third China Trade Week, CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, said they are hopeful the Trade Week will open doors for more investments.
At the end of the day, a lot of the investment that we seek really is to create a trade path. So we would like the Chinese to come and manufacture here to export to the other parts of Africa, for example, as we establish Ghana as a hub. And if you look at the 10-point agenda for trade and industry, Ghana is positioning itself creating industrial hubs, a pharmaceutical hub, automotive hub. We've been now thinking of doing aero servicing, etc., etc. And we believe that we can find the partnerships.
The third edition of the trade show will host about 100 traders and 6,000 business visitors to explore opportunities in various sectors, including manufacturing, construction, clothing and textiles, and many more. Zahar Ahmed is the international director for the MIE Group, organizers of the event.
We're looking forward to welcoming at least 6,000 business trade visitors from Ghana and neighboring cities as well. We want to make sure that the business environment that we are creating through China Trade Week encourages investment and business interaction through partnerships, joint ventures, because Ghana's investment and infrastructure development is ever increasing, and China is fully aware that the opportunities are great over here, and because we've been here for 2 successful years, the third year would be a greater kind of platform for them to grow the business opportunities.
Now, many giant telecommunication manufacturing firms have discovered Ghana as an entry point to the African market. This has led to the influx of distribution firms establishing their presence in the country with the sole aim of providing quality, affordable smartphones. Transcend Ghana Limited, sole importer of Infinix phones, has taken the opportunity to introduce the new Infinix S4 onto the Ghanaian market, the latest of the Infinix series. According to the brand manager of Infinix, Charlie Kao, his outfit seeks to provide quality but affordable smartphones for the unserved population. Joy Business's Bismarck Awusa was at the launch and now report.
2018 report on the Ghanaian mobile sector has indicated that the country is one of Africa's largest mobile markets in the world. According to a report published by Africa's leading e-commerce company, Jumia, Ghana boasts of about 34.6 million subscribers and a penetration rate of 119%, while about 10 million, nearly one-third of the country's population, are active internet users. The Infinix S4 is yet another cutting-edge technology from the giant phone-producing company, which seeks to support the growth of Ghana's socio-economic market. Charlie Kayo is the brand manager of Infinix in Ghana.
The online like Jumia and the operator like MTN, our channels now is good enough. And so we need to bring in more products, more good products, and to increase the sales. At the same time, we will combine the requirements of the local people, of Ghana people, and we try our best to meet their requirement and then improve our product.
Infinix trainer Patricia Mensah had this to say about the product's specifications.
This is a contrast between the front-end camera of S4 and other mobile devices. Infinix S4 bezel value is far ahead of other mobile devices. I think this one, you do not need anyone to tell you not to buy S4. This is one of the main things you have to look out for when buying an S4. Why buy other mobile devices once S4 is there?
Customers present at the event also got a rare opportunity to interact with the device for the very first time, with about 4 random winners taking the new sensation home. Bismarck Awusa's report for Joy Business.
Now, prices of foodstuffs are expected to stay high in the month of May. This was after April recorded an increase in prices. Let's take a look at the commodity analysis put together by our Greek communication firm, Isoko Ghana. All right, so let's move on to yet another story making headlines. And the Ghana Institute of Directors, Ghana, is calling on President Akufo-Addo to make amendment to the Transitional Act to allow board members and chief executives of key government businesses stay in office after changes of government. They think this will result in a good corporate governance practice in the public sector. President of the Institute, Roxanne Dogbega, made a call at the ongoing conference on corporate governance in Accra. My colleague Ebenezer Sabuti joins us on phone with some updates. Ebenezer, you're welcome to the marketplace. Now, what exactly has been going on there?
Okay, so over here at the corporate governance conference, the chairman, president of the Institute of Corporate Governance, Mr. Roxanne Dogbega, has been calling on the president. In fact, he made a passionate appeal that is the need for the Transitional Act to be reviewed, such that CEOs and board chairmen of some key institutions, that's government business institutions, should not be changed immediately there's a change in government. We've had a situation where anytime there's a change in government, all boards are dissolved and ordered. So he's calling on the president to at least do some amendments to the law so that some of these boards will be there. This, he thinks, will enhance corporate governance in the various government institutions in the country.
Now, has any mention been made with reference to the First Atlantic Bank saga or controversy?
There hasn't been a mention of First Atlantic Bank in specific, but there was a mention about the banking crisis that happened. And as you all know, or as we may be aware, most of them has to do with corporate governance. So we had Emeritus Professor Stephen Ade giving a speech, and he commended the Bank of Ghana for taking the steps to crack the whip when they felt that some corporate governance initiatives or corporate governance activities were not going on well in the banking sector. He also suggested that sometimes when we are the Bank of Ghana is going ahead with some of these policies, the general public should, relax when it comes to criticism. We shouldn't be in haste to criticize the Bank of Ghana when it's taking steps to clean up them. He thinks that the Bank of Ghana has done well and they deserve the commendation for cleaning up the system.
All right, so when exactly is the conference coming to an end, and who are scheduled to speak next?
Okay, the conference is expected to come to an end in about an hour's time. I must say we had a speech from Dr. Anthony Otinjesi, who was the former chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, an industrialist of this country as well. He made mention of the fact that Ghana can develop on its own if we take corporate governance very serious. We also had the Minister for Business Development, Dr. Mohamed Awa, calling on SMEs to practice good corporate governance in their sectors of operations so that they can ensure growth and sustainable growth to help the economy of this country.
Many thanks for the update. Ebenezer Sabuti is my colleague, reaching us live from the Corporate Governance Conference ongoing here in Accra. Of course, we'll bring some more updates on Business Live and other subsequent bulletins. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. This is where we draw the curtains down on Marketplace. Have a good afternoon.